Hey there guys, Rochelle here with Amethyst Ascension. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I am doing a hashtag, and this one is called the Coffee House Decks. And I seen this first on Rhiannon's channel, which is Rhiannon Rambles and Readings. I will be putting a link down below to her video on this. And the original person that created it was Kay from Amidst the Gray. And oh my goodness gracious. Okay, new subscriber to her channel. When I seen her do this video, she had me just laughing so much because of how she kept on setting up the different prompts. I mean, you'd see her laying on the floor, and it was just so funny. So I thought it was brilliant. And I am enjoying a cappuccino, a double mocha, sugar-free cappuccino as we speak. So there are a total of 12 different like coffees and or teas or whatever prompts, and I added one. So let's just get started. I will be putting a link down to Kay's channel as well. So to the original video. So the first one is, and I've got all of my notes here. The first one is the Espresso Shot, a deck that's strong, punchy, and gets straight to the point. And for that, I chose This Might Hurt. This one, it just, that's how it reads for me. There's nothing really like romantic about this deck whatsoever. The artwork, it's very much more modern. It just gets to the point, or at least for me, that's how it reads. I love it. I love it. But it's like quirky and sarcastic and just, it's just perfect. Perfect for that type of reading for me. So, and oh my goodness, look at that. So that was my Espresso Shot. Now, the next one is the Pour Over. Now, this one says, a deck that you need to take your time with, but totally worth the effort. And for that, I chose my Art History for Past Lives deck. And mine is warped a little bit, but I don't care, it still works. The premise of this deck is to help you obviously through your past lives. And there's a workbook that you can buy separately where you have like 21 different spreads that helps you work through just one particular life, or you can use it in several different lives, but it is just wonderful. Actually, there's even one or two spreads that talk about like your soul. I mean, like not just the lives, but like your essence. It's just really, really good. And it's something that you have to like peel back the different layers like an onion to get to all of the meaty information. And it does it in such an elaborate way of discovery. There's a whole lot that has to be left up to the way that you interpret it. Sorry. So, like for instance, you can look at like, and I didn't bring any of the books here with me, but you can look at the particular name on the card. So it could be daughter. Some are for like the type of person. Some can be the place. Some can be the time. It shows what it represents in the tarot. And then it shows the actual artwork, the name of the artwork. And there's tons of information for that can also pertain to like a time period or where in that time period. It's just elaborate and outstanding. And when I see past lives, they are like, in my mind, they play themselves out like in a theatrical, like I'm watching a movie. And that's probably why I love movies so much. And like setting the scene, because I can like see those. Like certain movie scenes will actually go through my head when I'm like using this deck, which is like really cool. And I think it's just yet another message from Spirit. So art history for past lives would be my pour over deck. Or wait a minute. Yes, I didn't do that in the correct order. So the next one is the Drip, a deck that's simple, accessible, and gets the job done. And for me, that one is the dun, 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 dun. It's the Roots and Wings Oracle. Gosh, I cannot tell you how many times I have just used this deck. It's just got a simple little like pamphlet. I mean, that's it right there. It is such a beautiful deck. And it's rose petal, but the core, I mean, it's so like flexible. These are the backs that are just divine as well. I turn to this deck even when I just want to simply shuffle a deck. Just sit there and watch something and shuffle, or listen to something and shuffle, or what have you. It's a way of just really distressing me. And another issue, maybe I'm like borderline ADHD, I don't know, but seems like I can sleep better when there's noise. I can concentrate better when there's a couple of different things going on. I know that's weird. So shuffling actually helps me be able to focus better. And this is one of those decks that is just a dream to shuffle, and the messages are phenomenal. But yet it's just I mean, it's so easy for me to interpret without even looking at the pamphlet. And I think it's supposed to be meant that way. This is like a journey into like your nature's state, I feel like. So that is my drip deck, the drip deck. All right, so the next one, let me just do this. The next one is the Cappuccino. Love me a Cappuccino. A deck that's classic, sophisticated, and maybe a bit fussy. And for that one, no, don't come at me. Don't come at me with the fussy bit. But I feel like for me, that is Thoth. I did modify this. I just took off a little bit from the top and from the sides and put red on the edging. This one feels, it's a classic. I mean, we've had it for, what, when did this come out? I mean, at least 70 years, right? At least. Everybody that knows tarot pretty much knows about this deck. Now, regardless of whether or not they use it, they know about it. This artwork to me is so gorgeous and extra. It's not like just looking at a pretty painting and going, oh, this is just like steeped in symbolism and color associations, and you know, you've got your planetary and like your deacon information, and there's just so much to it. But I feel like it's kind of fussy because when I think of Aleister Crowley and the things that I have read, namely the Book of Thoth, or Thoth, however you want to say it, he just seems like he was either a mad genius or just mad, okay? Because he just, this feeling that I get was that he was so pompous and arrogant and just really just loved the sound of his own voice. You know what I mean? And so when I say fussy, I say that because it feels like when I was reading the book, like he would talk in circles, you know, like almost like trying to confuse the reader. Maybe it's just because he was so eccentric. I don't know. I still love it. I love that about him. Don't get me wrong about the eccentric part, because it feels like I have to figure out this like puzzle, you know, like what is he saying? What's coded in what he's saying? That's why I say either he was a mad genius or he was just mad, you know, but this is the deck that I thought of for that. So that was the Cappuccino deck. So the next deck is the Mocha deck. And the Mocha says, a deck that's rich, indulgent, and a bit extra. Oh, and I forgot to grab it. I accidentally skipped one. As I started to pack up all of my decks again, I realized that I had skipped one. And that one is the Cafe Latte, number 3, which is a deck that's well received and highly palatable. And for me, oops, if I can keep this up here, is the Divine Muses. This deck, oh my goodness gracious. I love this deck so much. And this was like the first deck that was like a collage style deck, and even not quite as colorful, that, you know, it's more sepia. There's a little bit of punches of color here and there, but honestly, the majority is sepia. And the pictures definitely grew on me, but the guidebook is amazing. I did a full year with using this as my oracle with my monthly, and it was astonishing the amount of information that it revealed for me. And it just hit home, I mean, in such a way that I was surprised at. And God, that was not last year, but the year before that I did that. So yes, it's this deck. Very well received. I purchased this from Nancy, Texas Rose Nancy. I don't think she any longer has her channel. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think she does, though. I purchased it from her when she was, you know, purging some of her decks that were in her purgatory box. So I got this one from her, and it was one of the smartest decisions that I had ever made in an oracle deck. So yes, this was my Cafe Latte. I thought I was missing something there. So the deck that I chose for the Mocha, a deck that's rich, indulgent, yep, you can see it, and a little bit extra, or a bit extra, the Spirit Keepers. This is extra because all of the extra stuff that Bennett Bellwin puts in, like the Book of Maps, is just phenomenal. The amount of work, especially if you have access to the Book of Maps, read it or studied it, you would see that even all the backgrounds, and I've said this before, I think she could make a deck just on all the backgrounds for like location work. But it's just amazing the amount of work and cultures and religions and tidbits of information and ritual information and planetary and I Ching and you name it. It's in this deck. So it is a bit extra, and it is indulgent, but it is so rich. It is so rich in information that it is just, it's everything. I love this deck so much in every sense of the way. So, yes. So a bit extra, but in the best possible sense of the word. All right, so the next one is the Cortado. And some of these, like the Cortado, I've never even heard of these drinks. I obviously do not frequent coffee houses very often. All right, so let's see. The Cortado, a deck that's balanced and objective. And for me, I didn't pull out my, I just pulled out my mass market version. That's the Lightseers Tarot. As I said, this is the first deck that I ever really started seeing the balance between the light and the shadow of the tarot. It made it so accessible for me where it was not intimidating. So for me, and I've said this before also, Chris Ann, with she just appears to me, and I know that that's not something that you can, I mean, we're not like friends or anything like that, so it's just my own perception of her, but my perception is she is, just by like what I have seen in her work and the posts that she does and everything, she's such a incredible and balanced individual, and it shows in her work. And this one for me was a game changer, and that's why I call it a soul deck. I don't even hardly use this deck anymore, to be honest with you. I don't, because I have so many other goodies that, you know, as I get them in new, I'm like, oh, I get so excited. But this is a tried and true for me. This deck is a game changer for me. I love it so much. If ever in a pinch and I really needed a good deck where I just understood it in my soul without having to think about it, like it's like second nature, like it's speaking to me, it's this deck. Hands down, it is this deck. So that was my Cortado. And the next deck is the CON PANNA. The CON PANNA. I've never heard of that one either. So that one says a deck that puts you in your place, but with a hint of sweetness. Okay. So for me, I chose the Dark Mansions Tarot. This is another one. This really is a sweet deck to me because, I mean, I just love the artwork so much. It reminds me of Tim Burton, and Tim Burton's work is very dark, but light at the same time. It's like fun darkness. I don't know how to explain it. It's like darkness for children, kind of. That's how I see it. And so this deck, it doesn't pull any punches. It definitely says what it's supposed to say, and there's no guidebook that comes with it, so I can't even get a different meaning or perspective of it other than my own. But there's just such a sweetness to this artwork. Even that. I mean, I love it. So, yes, that would be my CON PANNA deck. So the next one is the Chai Latte. And oh my goodness gracious, do I love a Chai Latte. It is one of my favorite drinks. So the Chai Latte says a deck that's warm, cozy, and nurturing. And for me, I have a lot of decks that are warm and nurturing. Whoops, might help if I show the right size, right? Or the right side. But this is the one that immediately came to my mind. And it's funny, this was one that I didn't get right away when it came out. I mean, I waited like a year or two after it came out before I finally said, okay. Because it was so fanciful that I thought, am I going to use this? But oh my goodness gracious, I've used this so much in 2022 in my tarot journal. When I needed to be comforted and nurtured, this was, you know, my friend. This is my friend. And the artwork, the colors, the greenery, that is my jam. You know, my favorite color is green. I'm sorry about this glare. This is definitely a shiny deck, and it shows with the ring light. But oh my goodness gracious, the colors, the artwork. Yeah, I am just here for this. Look at I have seen these faces in my dreams. Yes, I have visited other realms. Even that tower. Gosh, who wouldn't want to be in a tower like that? That is just like dreamy, right? And oh my goodness, the white stag. Yes. All right, so that was my Chai Latte. That was the deck that is warm, cozy, and nurturing. And I chose the Forest of Enchantments for that. So the next deck is the Matcha Latte, which I do like matcha too. That's really good. A deck that's an acquired taste or a bit unconventional. I mean, I guess it could be acquired, but I think it's very, very yummy, actually. And for me, I chose, for that one, I chose, and I wonder, and I've still got to go through and watch most of these hashtags or VRs. The Marielle Tarot. This is the second edition. This one definitely feels, I know, this one definitely feels like it's unconventional because she uses the Tarot de Marseille, the Thoth, and the RWS in a mixture of her own system for this. So it's unconventional. The artwork is unconventional, but it definitely, I would say it's definitely an acquired taste. I think it's friggin' excellent though. But it's definitely not a deck that I go to for just an everyday reading. Unless the reading is like a highly, because I feel like this is a very highly spiritual. I feel like this is a very spiritual deck here. And I like the way that she looks at stuff. The book, the guidebook is friggin' excellent. I mean, that is one of the books that is just good enough to just sit and read it from cover to, and I don't always do that, but that was one that was very enjoyable to read from cover to cover. Now, if you ask me what all of them were now, my memory's not the greatest. So I really couldn't tell you. I use it as a reference, but anywho. So the next one is 10, the hot chocolate, which I do love a good hot chocolate from time to time. I'm a chocolate fiend. I love chocolate. It is my downfall. A deck that speaks to a younger version of you. Okay, so for that one, I had to choose the Stranger Things Tarot deck. I love this deck so much for a couple of different reasons. I think, first of all, it's my favorite Insight Editions deck, but that they've done thus far. still really not happy with the backs. I think they could have, I don't know. I don't like that, but I don't like names on the backs. I think that you can do something different, but I know it's like an homage to Stranger Things, so of course they're going to put it on there. But my husband and I watched this show, and the beautiful thing is the main group, which is the boys and Elle, they are all the exact age of what my husband and I would have been, and in the grades that we would have been in those years. Now, the older ones, the sister and the older brother, gosh, I can't remember their names. And like Steve. Okay, I remember Steve. I love Steve. So this is like nostalgic. I remember the bikes. I remember the ice cream shops when I was a kid, and the video games and the Dungeons and Dragons. Although I didn't play. I was never big for those kind of things, but I always heard about the kids that would play that, right? So this is a very nostalgic time when we watch this. Granted, we don't have this kind of crap happening, like, you know, the otherworldly stuff happening, but like the arcades and riding your bikes across town and all that. That was my generation. You know, I rode my bike everywhere when I was a kid. So the Stranger Things, it definitely makes me think of a younger version of myself, a much, much younger version of myself. So now the next one is the Italian Soda, a deck that's fun, low-key, and not overly serious. And for that one, I chose the Haunted House, Tarot of the Haunted House. This one I just didn't do for the longest time because it just seemed so cheesy to me. You know, like a B horror flick, right? But it can be so much more than that for other people. But for me, that's what it feels like. It just feels like a B horror flick. You know, a B movie. But there's so much fun in that, you know? There is so much fun. Like red rum, right? How cool is that? Oh my gosh. I do love this deck. I am so grateful that I finally just got it. This reminds me of like movies that I've maybe seen, you know, that I wanted to just either scare me or just laugh at, like how slow they run in order to get away from somebody, or they hide in the worst freaking spots that makes you laugh and go, what the hell, people, you know? But if they ran faster, then the horror flick wouldn't last long because they'd get away, right? So this one, it's hard for me to take it super seriously, but it is a whole lot of fun to play with. So the next one is called the Herbal Tea. And that is the deck that takes things down a notch or helps you to unwind. And for me, I chose, sorry. So for that one, I chose the Vision Quest Tarot. This deck is so beautiful and like takes me back to a like simpler time when people just lived off the land and, you know, they appreciated everything. They honored everything, and it just feels like a simpler time without all the city and the electronics and, you know, TV and movies, and just connecting with the earth, connecting with the animals, and connecting with other people. you know, it's this deck. This deck instantly takes me to a place where I feel like I can just unwind a little bit and just get back to basics and just appreciate and just be in a state of gratitude. And the colors are just amazing. And yeah, I just love this deck so much. So much. So now I added another coffee to this, or another beverage, and that would be for 13, the dark roast. That's something that we would get quite often, is a dark roast coffee. So for me, that is like deep, dark kind of deck, but it helps kick you in gear kind of thing. And so for me, something, I guess you could kind of say it's like an espresso, but an espresso is just like a short amount, like what she said, punchy. Whereas a dark roast, we get extra large dark roast from like Tim Hortons, and it's like all you need to really like jumpstart your day kind of thing. Or even in the afternoon, if you're just feeling kind of sluggish, it's that thing that can like pick you back up again and put you on the right track to be able to finish what you're supposed to finish for that day. And for me, because I am using 2023 as, you know, a deep dive, not only into shadow, but into like understanding the dark goddess and traveling to the underworld and stuff like that. And this is one of the decks that I just absolutely love, that I feel like fits that spot. I'm learning more about the different dark goddesses and their journeys and their stories through this deck, and how it correlates with me. So, and the artwork is just absolutely stunning. So, there you have it. That was the Coffee House decks, hashtag, created by Kay over at Amidst the Gray channel. I seen it the first time on Rhiannon's channel. I will be putting a link down below to each one of their videos. And thank you for spending this time with me. And if you have done this already, leave me a comment. Let me know. Although I am going to be checking and going through and watching many of them now that I have done this. So thank you for spending this time, and I am sending you love always.